I just can't.
Recording is on.
Oh. Was that you, Eric?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, just
Oh,
making
okay.
sure that that's working. It seems a little spotty sometimes, but good to go.
Where's your buddy Dave tonight, Eric?
I have no idea, actually. Haven't talked to him since last Friday, so don't know what he's doing. He says he's still busy. His excuse was selling his house before, and now, I don't know. He spent like a year or two getting his house ready and, a weekend selling it. But, I think he's just coming up with excuse after excuse. So. No idea.
We're getting here. It's like,
what time is it in Caledon, Eric?
It is 8 on the nose. Look, can you hear that in the background? Just announced 45 seconds ago, CHU time, 8 o'clock.
Oh, is it? Okay.
All right. Well, I guess we can get going here. Take my specs off, although I might need to put them back on. Also, I'm doing this from the backyard. This has been my place where I've been hanging out since Saturday morning, attending a conference. I was telling Kevin about when he was the first attendee this evening, doing an online conference that I would have been normally out of the country for, but not this time. So anyway, this is day 5 of 9, so it's been kind of fun. I switched to a non-tablet platform here, so I can't give you well, I guess I could give you a tour, but anyway, suffice to say I've got a little bit of a operating station set up to my right. I've got various screens right in front of me to participate in this conference. It's kind of a conjunction of technology, politics, art, all kinds of things. Very, very stimulating for the brain. It's called Hackers on Planet Earth, and I've been going for the last 12 years to the biannual conference. But anyway, so that's what's been keeping me busy. Anyway, so welcome to everybody for our informal homebrew meeting. Nice to see that we've got 9 of us out tonight. I noticed that Dave did send a message late this morning, and he is just, I think, commenting on Al's post from earlier. So I see that, Al, you have joined us, which is great. You can talk about your digital interface that you were wanting to discuss. And I guess first off, a little bit of housekeeping. Peter and I have been having some background talks about the structure of these meetings going forward. And with the scheduling and all that, we're going to be keeping the third Wednesdays, of course, the traditional, homebrew meetings as is, and instead of having them sometimes back to back and sometimes a 2 or 3 week gap, the plan that was agreed upon was the first Wednesday of each month to have these informal meetings, the 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock or however long they last. And unless anyone else wants to step up and host, it'll be alternating between Peter and myself being the host for the meetings. So if that sounds reasonable to the collected gang here tonight, then I guess we have quorum based on the number of people that have shown up to this. 9 out of, 15 at the most, once upon a time. So I think we're good. Unless anyone objects.
Well, we got 4 votes yay so far.
Yeah. Okay, I pronounce you husband and wife then. So that's what it is. Okay, so The other thing that, well, I mean, maybe we can talk about this towards the end of the meeting, but maybe think about what you'd like to, and I mentioned this in the preamble when I put the post out day before yesterday, or I guess in the wee hours of Monday night. The structure of our meetings going forward here, what do we want to do? Do we want to have discussions like we are? We want to make it a little bit different from the third Wednesday meetings, but talking about, getting maybe a series of related discussions together, or new platforms that you want to delve into. I actually have a bit of a interest in digital interfaces as well, Al, so that's kind of a nice conjunction there. Maybe we can develop that a little bit further. So is that time signal annoying to anyone, or can I leave that beeping in the background? No big deal? All right. Okay, little ambiance for tonight's meeting. The other liquid that I have with me that I might have to use is some of this stuff, because the skitters are thick here in rural Caledon. So right. So I guess, for lack of a better structure, because we haven't really come up with anything, we can maybe start with a regular sort of what's on your mind, what's on your bench, what's in your glass or your stein or whatever, and take it in the order that I see it on my grid here. I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but Kevin, you're at the top of the clock.
Well, my glass isn't full right now because I should go up and get one, but summer I don't do a lot of stuff on the bench, and I'm actually been kind of busy with work, so I haven't done a lot other than taking care of the garden and popping in on these meetings to see what everybody else is doing. That's interesting. That, and actually I am for anybody that's interested in learning about Linux and servers and stuff, there's Reddit has a 20-day course going. They start it every month, and it's like an introduction to Linux servers, which I'm sure, Al, you know all about this kind of stuff. But they take it through in little bite-sized chunks, like 10, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour most. And you set up an Amazon web server, and through that you learn how to do some administration. So anyway, it's kind of cool. It goes for, like I say, 20 days. And if you want to learn more about Linux, it's a great way to learn, and it's free. So anyway, I've been doing that in the morning.
Do they do that daily? Is it a
yeah, it's like every weekday for 20 days straight, for 20 weekdays. So anyway, it's something different to get a little more comfortable with Linux, right? So
is it well done? Like, is it polished, or is this their first round ever?
No, they've been doing this for years, apparently. I just found out about it.
Okay.
And it's some guy that has been around the Linux server world forever, and so it's little bite-sized chunks that take you through stuff, and it's quite it starts you off by signing up for a free Amazon server, and the way you go from there, right? So they just do that so that everybody has the same platform to work from. So anyway, so
do they repeat every 20 days?
I think it repeats every month, actually, at the beginning of the month. I can send you a link, Frank, if you want, if you're interested.
Okay, yeah.
Because it is kind of cool what you can do with it. I have a new respect for the people that administer all the server stuff, but I also have a new respect for how lazy they are, because they automate the crap out of everything. Scripts are their lives. So anyway, so that's what's on my bench, or my computer, as they say.
I think I just saw the name here, Linux Upskill Challenge. Is that it?
That's the one. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. If you could maybe, or even put a link in whatever groups, or I guess it'd be the best place, so that anyone who's not here that's interested, certainly, like, I don't know, project number 1,338 on my list is, I've got actually, I don't know, server, like a rack mount server sitting in my basement that's got like, 48 or 64 gigs of RAM that I've always wanted to do something with. So I think that would be right up my alley.
You can do an awful lot with it. I mean, one of the things they have you do is they set up an Apache web server, right? And you just serve up a simple web page. It's like, it's just some text, but they leave the machine wide open with as on purpose to show you what it's like to administer a real server in the real world. And I mean, the thing's getting hit every couple of seconds by something trying to break in, because you go through that's another exercise. You go through the logs and go, wow, why do I have like half a megabyte of logs of people trying to break into my computer?
Right.
So anyway, it's like, so if I wasn't paranoid before, I'm really paranoid now. So.
And they start with basically assuming no knowledge, or do you have to have your?
No, you start with nothing.
Okay, all right. So no Linux prerequisites here.
No, They take you through everything.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because it's been about a decade. I used Linux hot and heavy for a number of years, but 2010 is when the Fedora instance on my laptop died, more or less, effectively died, and haven't really used it since. So, yeah.
Well,
okay,
there you go.
Good. Yeah.
Take you back into it. Anyway.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. No, that's great. Okay. Speaking of Linux, and that I was on a session just a little earlier. I was at 6 o'clock today at the convention I'm at, called Exploring RF with SDR for the Absolute Beginner. I just thought I'd see what they were talking about, and certainly picked up a few things that I wasn't aware of. There's a couple distributions that I'd never heard of before, that are packed with radio RF type software on it. Skywave Linux is one of them. And the other one is SIGINT OS, SIGINT OS. So looks kind of interesting. Lots of GNU radio stuff and what have you. I can send the links as well to those for those of you that are interested. So that's some more Linuxy goodness that you can look into. So, all right, Brian, you're up.
Well, good evening, everybody. So yeah, as I was saying, just as we were starting up the meeting, before we started the meeting, so I got back to the bench today after this hot month. Basically, I had my QCX maybe 3/4 finished, and had been waiting for some components to change to put it up to standard. There had been some changes, and so I got those components from Creatron finally. And got back and soldered them in today. So I'll be proceeding with finishing that thing off and then selling it, since I already have one anyway. I just built it as a pandemic time consumer for a while, a little bit on and off. So I got into the garage last week when it was cool, pulled out stuff that I've been trying to get my hands on, one of which was a piece of cherry that I had left over from a canoe paddle I made. So the intent of that is to slice it up and make some nice cherry finger pieces from some of my keys. And I have a nice bug that I've been using for a lot since last October, which had basically fake tortoise shell kind of finger pieces on it. And they did investigate making fake tortoise shell out of acrylic. I found out how to do it. It just seemed like a lot of work. So then I got back to thinking about sawing up some wood and doing it. So now I got this cherry, take off some slices and make some finger pieces and use those on some of the keys that have more generic kind of finger pieces. That'll be something to do. And so that's ham radio related anyway, to some degree. Beyond that, I don't know. I'm sort of waiting for the weather to get a little bit better and maybe get a better antenna up at the cottage or something like that, rather than the loose wire that I threw up a couple summers ago and didn't really do much about. I've got to do some more furniture making for the cottage, so that's going to stand in the way of some radio stuff while I still can have access to the tools at the cottage and do some stuff there, because there's a fairly decent shop at the basement of the cottage. So I got between now and Thanksgiving to get some wood ready there that I can assemble I guess, in the winter, end of the fall and the winter. So back to you.
Okay, yeah, very good. I was going to say something, but I'll save it till later. Something to do with keys there. Or paddles, I guess, really, in my case. So, all right, Klaus, I would say you're next up to unmute, if you will, and tell us what's going on with you these days in the RF world or anything else.
Well, I'm not doing much in the RF world because I'm trying to finish off my kitchen, doing the last touches on the painting. But I did get some stuff in I'm working on. I've got the Heathkit VTVM I'm cleaning up at the moment. I've got I know how to use that. I've got a Heathkit audio generator, which I haven't got a clue about. It looks good on the bench anyway. I picked up an oscilloscope, so I've got to start reading up on that sucker. And still trying to get my my code in, and I'm not really getting down to that either. So, going to retire in the fall, so I think I can probably do a little bit more after that.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, although they say when you retire, you know, you get busier than ever. So you got to make sure you cut out that time for your what's important, the priorities, right? You know, getting up to 25 words a minute or what have you. So, yeah, good stuff. All right. I saw you just made a post about a tower about half an hour ago. I haven't read it yet, but did you want to mention anything to the group here about that?
Well, I managed to pick up 4 sections. 2 are full length and 2 are cut down, and I can't use them because I got. I'm in line to get another tower, which is which is a lot better than this one. So this came from the property of a Silent Key, and I guess sort of like volunteered to pick it up from the property, and it's currently on my property. So if anybody's got any use for some sections, then it's free for the taking.
Standard TV tower dimensions. What is that? 1.25 inch tubes, I think, something like that.
You got me. I haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
triangular. That's all I know.
Right. Yeah, most likely. Okay. All right. Well, I've got you know, about maybe 30 feet of that, so another few sections might just come in handy. If you could let me know what the dimensions of the tubes are, I might just take those off your hands if you have no use for them.
So what dimension are you looking for?
It's the tubes, like the triangular, the each pole basically, right? Should have a, you know, just give me a diameter on the each tube. So
Okay.
yeah,
I'll do that.
Yep, that'd be great. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. So we've got Dwayne next up. Come on down.
All right, Eric. I haven't been doing too much here in the radio world. The Tiny ESA has become available the other day, so I quickly ordered that. And it doesn't come with a tracking generator, but I've got the information on what I'm pretty much going to need to build a tracking generator for that. So I'm going to start laying out a little circuit board and right now just kind of impatiently waiting for it to show up. I got an email notification today that it has been shipped, so I'm hoping that I'll get it within, well, maybe by the next meeting. Other than that, I've been doing some yard work and a couple other things like that, and not much else.
Okay. All right. Everybody's keeping busy with non-ham related stuff, which is fine. This is the weather to be doing all that. So it's all good. Good stuff. Okay. We are almost about halfway through our I don't know, cast of characters here. I thought I might just give you. I came across Rex's update from 8 days ago. So last Tuesday, he gave people that have signed up, and I don't know how many people here are actually on his mailing list for his buildathon, but I'll read it out to you if that works well enough. Whoops. Okay, there we go. No, I don't want to do that. Okay. So he says, gang, okay, this update was a long time coming. I had a few things come up that pulled me off course. Ham Friend's roof is repaired. Taxes are submitted a day before the deadline. LobsterCon was held, but on a much smaller scale, and a few other things that I won't go into. But the good news is that 99.44% of the parts for the AT2 kit are now in hand. The final PCB arrived today. The polyvericon tank tuning capacitors have been shipped and should arrive within a week. Knobs for same, I forgot all about the knobs, are en route. I will start on the kitting process tomorrow and should have it done before the knobs and caps arrive. So it looks like I'll be shipping the kits sometime next week. Haven't heard anything from him since, so this is main standard time here. So we will see sometime in August probably. The latest, that's my comments if you haven't figured that out. The latest obstacle was not being able to find my James Millen FT243 ceramic crystal sockets. I had a box containing about 900 NOS sockets, but after the move from my rented space back to the farm, it has not turned up in my numerous searches. I've turned this place upside down several times, specifically looking for the sockets. Nada. I did turn up a fairly large stash of NOS tube sockets while searching for the Millens, so I decided to stop searching and get making. I designed a holder with the same physical dimensions and mounting holes, but use octal tube socket pins for the actual crystal sockets. I deconstructed 50 NOS, 1950 on the box, wafer-style octal sockets, and harvested the socket pins. My prototype design needed a couple of tweaks, but it only took one night of messing around with the laser to make everything fit right. I let it rip last night and made 152 holders out of Delrin, so I jumped that hurdle. It has been hotter than 7 shades here in Limerick, and the Quonset is like an oven in the main storage area. The shop space has insulated walls and ceiling, but not near enough insulation. It is very uncomfortable in there. Right now, I'm hiding out in the cellar of the house, which is pretty cool. But I can't do much here other than computer work, so I'm going to have to get all of my paperwork straight so I have an accurate BOM for the various AT2 submodules that will be kitted separately to make it easier to get it right and to build. I hope to have a couple of complete kits bagged first so I can do some YouTube videos over the next week and to post up on the site and really get all of you salivating. This kit has turned into a monster. I have 8 PCBs and a buck boost high voltage module incorporated into the design. It started out pretty simple as an updated PP2 transmitter design, but when the buildathon and FDIM were canceled, it took on an unexpected turn. I was going to have a few high voltage power supplies and accessory items at FDIM for testing out completed transmitters, but now every builder needed a power supply. In order for everyone to be on the same page, I had to come up with a solution and include that, which begat a power supply board and an optional high power option and a low pass filter board and a polyvericon mounting board. I don't like supplying partial kits and then telling builders about all the extra stuff they have to do to get it all working. The AT2 is complete. All you have to do is supply a nice box, key, battery, and antenna to make some RF happen. I'll try to make at least one day to document the build and get everybody doing a little homework before their kits arrive. Stay tuned. Do not adjust your sets. So there you go. That's the latest and greatest from Rex. As mentioned, I am the willing conveyor, courier, cross-border person if anyone's interested in that, so I can get everything through for one consolidated shipping cost and get some economy of scales going with this. So I will arrange that with Rex for whoever's interested. So if I can have a commitment from everybody in the Homebrew group, I know everybody will be good for it. So I'll put that posting up. I think I might have casually mentioned it in the past verbally, but I'll make an official posting about that. I think $50 US was the approximate bill for this kit. And I think, it might be, it's kind of on the pricier side for us cheap hams, but kind of an interesting kit too that I think might be a unique addition to everybody's shelf. Let's put it that way. Okay, so Peter, you are front and center of my 3x3 grid. So
I thought
Give
I
it a
was
go.
right on mine. Okay. All right. Well, I got back into today actually with the ADS 1115 16-bit ADC that I got in the mail the other week. So we're playing a little bit around with that today, which I'm also incorporating the use of one of my old prototype 8307 boards, and I'm trying to figure out a way to read the voltage without using the map function in order to be able to use decimal points, fractions, and whatnot. So I'm kind of playing around with that more or less all day today, really. Let's see, what else would I've been up to? That's pretty much it as far as the what's going on in the shack is concerned. A little bit of FT8 off and on, but nothing too fancy. I was just going to mention, got an email again today that I'm not sure if everybody's aware of it. QSO today has got this virtual ham expo happening on August 8 and 9. They got some really interesting talks that they're going to have on that. It's free registration. And Klaus, there's some topics there that are really up your alley. One is building a new shack. Another one's grounding and bonding. And another one was kit building, how to solder, all these kinds of things. So there's some really interesting stuff there. That one on the grounding and bonding is certainly a timely, I think that's Ward Silver from the ARRL is giving that one. He's a pretty good guy. So anyway, that's on the QSO Today site there. So hopefully that's on August 8th. That's a Saturday. So it's a Saturday and Sunday kind of thing. But they've just put out the list of all their speakers and topics. So you can go have a look at it and pick and choose what you may want to see. I'm not sure. I didn't read through the whole thing there. I think they're going to make the talks available after the fact as well, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. And I think that's about it from the POA shack there, Eric.
Sorry, I'm having some electrical issues here. In other words, all the extension cords that I have strung up here for power are sizzling and popping and cracking as I try to get them to all work in harmony. So if I start to shake uncontrollably, maybe somebody could send 911 to my address. Okay, no, thanks for the mention, Peter, about the QSO today. I kind of forgot about that in the midst of my current thing that I'm doing here. But yeah, that's a Saturday, Sunday, I guess, and I guess starts a week from this Saturday. So it's coming up fast. So yeah, I think that does sound like a very interesting event. First timer, and I mean, judging on this conference that I've been doing, it works very well in an online format. This is really the first thing that I've attended that has been converted from what would have been a 3-day in-person conference to a 9-day online conference. So this is day 5 today, and I mean it's kind of tiring, but you know, just a fire hose of information, a lot more I guess content that I would have ever been able to take in person. And you know, you've got all of your web browsers available to look things up on the fly and what have you, and record things if you want with your computer. So it's been good. Been really happy with the online format. And this QSO Today thing, apparently they've got it set up with a vendor that offers a virtual experience. So it's almost like being in a ham expo. You got rooms to go to, sort of like virtual reality, right? And you know, go into a room and talk to the folks at any of the big 3 or vendors that are going to be there. It seems to work really well. This conference I'm at right now, of course, being a hacker conference, has that kind of stuff too. I played with it just once briefly, but you got basically walk around just on your screen in a sort of 3D dungeon-like environment. If you got a VR headset, I guess it would even work with that too. So brave new world, but yeah, it works really well. I'm really happy with the experience so far. So and I think these guys are gonna pull it off as well. I mean, they know technology too. So thumbs up for that. All right, Frank, please go ahead. You're muted there still, by the way.
You're still muted, Frank.
Maybe his speakers are off too.
No, how about that, guys?
There we go. Yep, perfect.
All this high-tech stuff is too much for me. Anyway, I was saying that there was absolutely no ham radioactivity a week or so ago because our air conditioner decided to freeze up. And with the temperatures having been kind of high, it needed attention. And I put a service call in a week ago last Monday. They came and decided that it was iced up and it had been running so long that it burnt the motor out in the furnace. Long story short, I ended up buying a brand new furnace and still had the same problem. So then later on in the week, they found out that there was a valve, a solenoid, that was not operating in the A-frame. So they had to take the new furnace apart to get to the A-frame and fix that. And finally, we got air conditioning late last Friday. So most of that week was taken up. But in the meantime, I have been playing around with, let me see what we can do here, with the bandpass filter for the DC receiver that hopefully will be a buildathon. And I've never done this before to share my screen, but I'm going to try it right now and see what happens. And right there. Can you see that?
No. When you do share a screen, Frank, then you're going to have to choose the app.
Oh, well, I didn't choose the app, so we'll leave that till I can see it on my screen.
It's the other, isn't it the other way around? I think the app you can't share screen, but the browser on your laptop or computer you can.
No, when you hit the share screen button, a little box will open up and says select the app that you want to share the screen with.
Yep.
So if you're using PowerPoint or whatever program you're running, it'll be highlighted in that box somewhere, and you just click on that, and then it'll share your.
Oh, all I want to do is to share an image.
Yep. So you can do that if you click
We'll try
bottom right-hand corner.
Says your entire screen, application window.
That's what you want.
Application window. Okay. Now what?
Then click the image, that shows which application that's open that you want to use, and then hit share at the bottom when it highlights.
I don't think that's going to be it for sure. No.
Oops. Perfect. Fun house.
I'm on drugs.
Anyway, I had about 3 slides there. One showing the original single stage bandpass filter, and then the prototype new one, which was a 2-stage filter, and also a screenshot of the SNA and showing that the filter actually worked. It needs a little more work on it because the peak didn't cover the entire 40-meter band. You would have to adjust it to get the section of the 40-meter band that you were interested in. So it's a little bit too selective, but I'll carry on and and play with that and see if I can't come up with something better. And also I'll practice with the sharing thing. So maybe next time I'll be able to share that with you. So
Yeah, Frank, I think for sharing practice, you might want, or not practice, but for next time, you just want to make sure that whatever you're sharing it in is a separate window altogether from your Jitsi session. It's kind of tough if it's just a tab on one of your browser windows that you're trying to share.
yeah, that's what I have. Yeah.
Yeah, so you want to dissociate that. If you're using Chrome, make sure you open it up, or Firefox or whatever, you open it up in a new window, not just a new tab, and then you'll see it as an option in one of those screens, those little mini screens that you saw. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I missed that one little step.
Yeah. So. All right. Yeah. No big deal.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Frank.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess I have to say ALH first because saying Al is going to get some crosstalk going on here. So take it away, Al number one.
Alrighty, well, good to see everybody. Like everybody else, not a heck of a lot of progress on the bench the past month, but a few things. I managed to get the mobile station installed into the vehicle. Some cutting and hacking and drilling and laying on flat on my back. So that was successful. The last windstorm we had there brought down my G5 RV. Interesting thing is, I have two other trapped dipoles over the house, and I've got this G5 RV laying on the top of the roof, and it has better gain and better reception than the other two surviving dipoles. So I've got to get up in the tree, get my slingshot out, and see if I can't get this thing back up in the air. The only other thing to report, I think last month I reported I was working on that vacuum tube DCR receiver. Finished the build, and in classic form, doesn't really work. It's a learning experience. I tested each module out, but again, running a little bit blind, so I don't know what voltages we need. But I had a bit of a revelation last week where I realized that I'm using a diode ring mixer with a VFO, and then the light came on my head, and I realized I didn't have enough voltage to overcome the forward voltage of the diode ring mixer. So the exercise is now turning to how do I get more voltage out of my VCO. So anyhow, not a lot of progress, but that's where I'm looking right now. Maybe this time next month I might have some more progress on that. Not much else to report. Life is busy, still working in the cellar on the computer, so not a lot of time to play ham radio, but we're having fun, we're well, we're healthy, and I hope everybody else is. So that's all I've got to update. Any questions?
Okay, there we go. Had myself permanently muted there. Okay, all right, I guess, no, that sounds good. Like everybody else, life is getting in the way of ham radio a little bit here for you, but that's all right. So all in the same boat. Okay, well, thank you, Al. And next on to, IAW. I thought I said it wrong the first time, but Mr. Wolfrey, you are the next contestant.
Thank you. Well, I have one contact on my phaser 20 meter. I guess it was the end of last week, and I tried for quite a while to get another one, but it turns out what I had done is I'd calibrated it, but I hadn't measured the power output. And the power output was exactly, or pretty close to 300 milliwatts, which wasn't being heard. So after an interchange with the reflector group, I found that I had to uninstall a resistor, this R45, which George recommended I do by just clipping the lead at the top, which I did. But I neglected to set the recalibration back to 0 and start again. And so when I pressed the tune button to check the power output, it blew the finals. So anyway, I'm getting a new final transistor, at some point. But anyway, that's a little warning, Klaus. I think you're working on a phaser. If you measure power output and then you say, I think I'm going to make a change here. Make the change and then turn R10 all the way counterclockwise and start the process again, because that was what got me in the end. Anyway, this got me, and the way my antenna were two 20-meter hamstick equivalents end to end, and I think I brought them into a homebrew meeting a couple of years ago. And someone asked me if the connection box had a balun in it, and the answer was no. And I still don't know whether I should put one in or not. But anyway, I was hearing a lot of stations, and I got one contact with 300 milliwatts. So because I'm a ham restricted or an antenna restricted area in a condo, I can't even put an antenna in the attic, and I can't string one outside. So I'm pretty well bound to indoor antennas. And so these end-to-end dipoles were on our third floor. And I have a stand built for my mag loop, and I just need to get the mag loop operational, and I'll give it a shot next to see how that works. And so anyway, this got me interested in building a digital interface, because I have a micro BitX and a BitX40, which, since they're both SSB, can emit digital modes, and so I need a digital interface, and so that got me going on that. And when I saw Eric's note on that as a discussion topic, I decided I'd post the two that I regarded as finalists for me personally, and I was hoping to get some more input. And I saw Dave's response to that about isolation. And it's interesting that both of my finalists made a point of saying that they didn't have isolation. So I'm hoping that Dave has a look at them, and or at least the one I'm planning on building, and see what he thinks. But anyway, so that's quite an interesting little topic. And I'm building it. I think I've finished the layout. I'm going to be using Manhattan style, and my first use of knee pads, I think, for the Manhattan Islands. So I hope to do that in the next few days, assuming that life allows me to do that. I guess the next thing is, Klaus and I had a similar poor experience with the QRP guys, in that they didn't seem to respond to messages. I had a request a couple of years ago where I said, would you please send me another one of these? And they said, we can't, you're in Canada. And I said, okay, send it to this Michigan address. So they claimed to have sent it, but wasn't received there. And then when I was in Arizona last winter, I said, could you send it to me now? And no response to that. Anyway, Klaus had a similar non-response. And so I drafted up this rather aggressive email to them, which I posted on the Reflector, and caused a certain amount of outrage from QRP guys. But basically I said, look, if you're not going to provide support, then we're going to warn our club members about our experience. So we'll see where that goes. I think at the executive meeting I'll bring up a resolution to advise the members to not do business with these guys, which really astounds me, because Doug Hendricks has a wonderful reputation in the community, and the QRP guys have are well known and all that sort of thing. But if they're not going to provide any support, then we shouldn't do business with them. So anyway, that's a little rant about those guys. Finally, Kevin mentioned Linux. I've used Linux off and on over the years, I guess for about 20 years, maybe a bit longer, maybe 25 years, but in a very low-key manner. And I have this, it's called an HP Stream, which is a very thin and light laptop with only 32 gigabytes of disk space, which is really solid state RAM. And Windows was just not being able to be installed on it. So I installed something called MX Linux. That's MX Linux, as because of all the positive reviews, and it's terrific. So now I have this thin and light laptop with very limited memory, and I'm using well under 75% of the memory and not much of the disk space, and the CPU is great. And so it's MX Linux. If anyone wants to play with that, I can recommend it. And so I'm using that for email and Python, playing with Python, and various presentations using LibreOffice and things like that. And finally, I joined the Straight Key Century Club after seeing someone in the club got an award, and there's been a lot of discussion about a Kuti key, which is a sideswiper type key. And I wonder if anybody in the group has experience learning how to use it. I've never actually tried it. I've tried using a bug way back in the day, and I've tried using paddles, but I haven't, my Morse code isn't that terrific, even with a straight key. And I was wondering if, since it's not that terrific, whether I should just try using a Kuti key, because it seems to be a topic of conversation these days. Anyway, that's it for me. Back to the moderator.
Okay, just because I was looking it up while you were talking there, Al, to clarify, because I was first looking under NX Linux, November X-ray, but it's Montreal or Mike, I guess, Mike X-ray, right? Linux. So mid-weight. I mean, I don't know how many different distros there are. I've never heard of that before, even though using it. I don't know if it's something new. Al, what's it based on? Do you know? What's the core of it?
It's based on Debian, and it's not based Ubuntu. It's based on Debian. And if you go onto YouTube, there are a bunch of reviews of it. People say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread and so on. I can send you a link on it. It's quite fast, and even on my, this laptop isn't the fastest thing in the world, but it's pretty good, and I like the way you can customize the laptop. I'm sorry, the desktop, anyway, I quite like it. It comes pre-installed with just enough stuff and not too much. So that and Linux Mint seems to be the favorite. I used Linux Mint for a while, but I think I like this one better. Maybe I just like change.
Okay, well, it sounds like it's good if you got older hardware that's restricted in RAM or hard disk space or processing power. So good. Always nice to breathe new life into some of our older equipment. So, okay. All right. Kevin, yes, please go ahead.
Hi. Sorry, no, I just wanted to mention too, I don't know if anybody is aware, but in Windows 10, you can install any one of about 10 different Linux versions as part of Windows 10. They're officially supported by Microsoft out of the Windows App Store or whatever. So just if you want to play and you don't have to install anything, it's not dual boot or anything. It's real Linux running in a bash terminal window, and you can do all kinds of stuff. If there's things you want to do with Linux on the command line, that's an easy answer. You don't need a separate computer. It takes a few minutes to install, and away you go. And it's real Linux. It does all kinds of. You can install programs. You can do all kinds of stuff.
Command line only, though, right?
As far as I know, it's command line only. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. WSL2, I think it's called. I installed it, and I didn't do much with it. I sort of felt like, well, first of all, I needed something on my underpowered laptop, and so I put MX Linux on that. But yeah, I understand that it's going to evolve into something which allows a Linux desktop as well. So that'll be interesting when that comes about.
Yeah, if that's where I've heard that's where they're going to, but it's not. It's certainly not there yet. But it's interesting on this course. I use that window to run a secure shell into my Amazon server, and then I can take my Amazon server and run a secure shell back into my server in my office here right beside me. It just, you feel like some kind of hacker, out of the Matrix or something. It's like, going all around the world in these different computers. So anyway, it's kind of neat, but it's a cool factor, but that's about it. Anyway, that's my 2 cents for that.
Cool. Yeah, it's kind of like, how deep in the matrix are you, right? How many levels down? Sometimes it gets confusing. So, yeah, very nice. Is that? Oh, I think you're. Yeah, there you go, Al. Hey, I just wanted to mention also, again, totally unrelated, but I'm being patriotic here using my ARCI QRP ARCI beer holder to keep my hands dry and the table dry. So I'm sticking with the program. I'm going to try and share my desktop now. So let's see how this works. All right. So what am I sharing? Am I sharing my, you can see that?
Yep.
Yep. So this is something that I came across. I'm trying to rig something up because I have no way of communicating digitally through any of my radios, and I have I have a nice sound interface that actually I use for musical instruments that I'm putting to use for the audio part of it, but I have no cable to connect to either the data port, which I think is preferable on my 817, over the mic jack, which is a like an RJ45 kind of connector. So I just wondering if anybody had any comments on a simple kind of, I just want to get it done. What I'm hoping to do, and the reason, again, this is, I guess, a need driving the solution here, or trying to find a solution. But I can receive just fine. Got the audio out, going into the sound interface, and then to FL Digi or what have you. But it's trying to transmit is the problem. So what, I don't know, does this kind of, at least for the sound out part of it going into the data in pin, how much of this do I need to follow? What's the simplest that I can get away with again, just sort of a down and dirty. I'm going to harvest a connector. It looks like a standard 6-pin DIN connector off of an old keyboard, I guess. And so just so I can, try and make a contact. This conference that I have has station set up W2H, and they're doing PSK 31 as well as FT4 and FT8. So again, this is all brand new to me. I've never done anything with digital before other than look over people's shoulders with it. So I'm looking for a little homebrew quick wizardry that might help me out here. So what's my easiest solution? I don't want to get I don't want to get fancy and take away from the enjoyment of it. So anybody have any comments? Please feel free to go and unmute yourselves as need be.
Frank had his hand up earlier.
Okay, I guess you're still seeing my schematic, right? Are you? Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, Frank, go ahead, please. I'm all ears.
Okay, this is Frank. Am I on?
Yep.
Let me see. Maybe I can do this. There we go. Okay. Just wanted to bring to Al's attention, and now most other people's attention. A few years ago, we had a buildathon that developed and built a digital interface. And it was pretty simple, straightforward. It was done in Manhattan style. And you'll notice basically there's two transformers in there and a chip. And the chip controlled the push to talk. And there was a built-in delay to accommodate some of the more exotic digital modes at the time. On the back, I'll take that pin out. There. You've got a standard DIN connector there, and then you also have a voltage 12 volts in. Now the input and output terminals, you'll notice that each one is completely isolated from the chassis. So all of them are isolated. The whole circuit, both input and output, everything's isolated from one another. The other thing that I did want to mention, Eric, when you have problems with the transmit, it could very well be the level of the signal going in when you're trying to transmit out. And that's why you have two gain controls, the two pots on here. One is to control the gain of the input, one to control the gain of the output. After I saw your posting, I grabbed a hold of this so I could show it, but then I tried to find some documentation, and I've got about 3 filing cabinets full of documentation for all the buildathons we've ever had, and be darned if I could find anything on it. Peter, you may have in your file, if you're more organized than I am, the document we used for this version. There were 2 versions of it. The first one didn't incorporate the delay and the necessary hardware to accommodate all of the digital modes at the time. And then we came out with both a Mark II version and a modification for the Mark I version. And both buildathons I know were full. So there's a few of these kicking around somewhere. But if we can dig up that information, that might be of value to you, Al, and either as is or modify it.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to get some documentation on that, so I could, decide if I could kit it myself and put it together.
Oh, look at this.
He's got it.
He's got it.
Okay. I'm curious, this isolation problem, we're talking isolation between the audio and is it the cat control, or what are we trying to isolate here?
Isolate between the transmitter and the computer.
Ah, okay. Is that going to be an issue if I have like an external sound interface? Like I have a USB interface that sits between the radio and the computer. I guess it depends on the design of that interface, right? Try it and see.
Pretty much. This one is straightforward. Like it's very similar or based on that schematic you have up as a very basic entity, but it introduces full isolation between the transmitter and the PC.
Okay, all right. Something that I'm not sure if that's going to be an issue with what I'm after here. But yeah, like as far as, basically cable is all that I'm after here, right? I've got the cat control. I've got, PTT and everything. That's all working fine. I can, that all checks out. It's just the, sound out from the audio interface into the data input. So I'm assuming that all I have to do is basically, data in that and the ground going back. Is that basically it to get this working?
No,
Like 2 pins?
as I said, you're going to have some way of varying the gain of that signal.
Well, my sound device, I've got gain control, so.
Without seeing it, I can't comment whether it would work or not.
Right.
So isolation is a good idea anyway, all the way around.
Right. Okay. Brian, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just sort of curious about what mode you're using, because my digital experience is a little bit in the past, but when I was doing PSK 31, I essentially just ran straight cables from the audio out and then to the audio. I wasn't using mic in, I think I used sound in and used the controls in Microsoft operating system to control the stuff in the sound card. Subsequently, I have used external stuff for panoscopes and stuff like that, and I did employ a isolation transformer that I got at that point from the successor of Radio Shack, but that turns out not to be necessary for the PX3 I was using because it has internal isolation transformers within it for anybody that's using digital modes and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, well, my issue is that, I've only got 2 ways of getting into my radio here that I want to use for it. And that's the data jack on the back of it, as pictured here, and, the mic jack, which I don't think is quite as good a solution as the data from what I've read and done my research on. So I think this data connector is basically the jack that I want to use to get into it. So yeah, I'm not so worried about the mechanics and the tweaking and all that. I just want to, what 2 wires do I want to basically hook up to? And I presume it's just data in and ground. I don't think I need to use any resistors or anything. It's just a simple cable, right? Data in to sound out as it shows, and ground to the other wire, right? And that's basically it. So
could be. Have you looked at the see the I/O groups for the 817? Because it's a pretty widespread popular rig.
Yeah. No, I haven't quite do that, but yeah, no, that's a good point. Groups.io on the 817. I'll see if there's any. There's probably. I'm sure I'm not the first person to do this. Obviously, like everything else. So okay, yeah, no, good point. So.
Peter, maybe you could copy the schematic and send it to Al.
Yeah, I could do a copy on it, a PDF on it, and post it actually, or whatever. Yeah. There's nothing really fancy about it. I guess we could. I don't know. I guess the chip is the only exotic part that's in this thing.
And the chip was introduced to handle the push-to-talk function, but with added delay in it. So but basically the rest of the circuit is pretty well all you'll need to interface the PC with the computer, with the transmitter.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you can ignore that whole section. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to share with the group is my latest acquisition that I think 1 or 2 of you may know about, but this little guy, hopefully everybody can see that, but came across this, I think it was a posting actually on our groups. There was a local ham up in my neck of the woods, actually, at Grand Valley, I think is where he lived, who passed and had people selling some of his stuff off, and picked this up for I think a pretty reasonable couple $100. And so as I was mentioning earlier, I had a Big Alley key that I broke out for the first time, plugged it into my 817, and it received just fine. Took a while to figure out the settings on this old one. It's the 817 and the 101. There's a few generations of difference between them as far as the controls. But anyway, happy to report that worked fine, and looking forward to getting this on the air and seeing how it performs. It's the first and only tube piece of equipment that I possess, so looking forward to some maybe richer audio coming out of this. So anyway, unbeknownst to me, there's quite a bit of history behind this particular radio, as a workhorse of the 70s and beyond. So there's people who have labs dedicated to doing nothing else other than fixing these things up and keeping them operating. So I'm kind of happy with this little acquisition. Not that I need another radio, but hey, there you go. So anyway, not homebrew, but who knows? Maybe I'll be able to hook some things up to it. Get I don't know, cat control or something out of it eventually. Frank, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, that takes me back a few years, and that was my very first commercially built transceiver. And I had many contacts with that rig, and that one looks in really good shape. So it's worthwhile spending some time and effort into putting it back on the air.
Yeah, I mean, I plugged it in, and I mean, except for one time when I heard a little bit of a pop when I the second or third time that I put the power to it. It's mains powered, but apparently it runs off of DC as well. But no, it is in really good shape. Apparently, it was kept like in a dining room cabinet by this ham. So obviously he took care of it really well, and anyway, so like a bit of a different beast. Apparently this was the first radio on the market that had modular boards, so it had 8 boards that you could just pull out like PC cards if anything went wrong, work on them, or get a replacement or send it back to Yaesu as need be. And so kind of unique, a bit of a hybrid too. Had two valves on the finals, I think. One other one for, I guess, I don't know, the oscillator possibly, but it also had a few ICs in it, so kind of a bridge between the old and the new. So anyway, there you go. That's my little
Bring back fond memories.
Yeah. You know what this means now, Frank? You're going to be my go-to resource, right? Just like IHB is going to be coming over every weekend to help me set up my rack mount server now. You're going to be helping me with my 101. So anyway, good to know that it's well liked. So all right. Well, that's. I guess kind of brings us to the end of our evening, more or less, with the exception of, I guess, maybe talking about some plans going forward. So I don't know if anyone's had any thoughts over the last hour of what they'd like to see out of these, these meetings going forward. Our next meeting is going to be, I suppose, since next Wednesday would be the first of the month, this will suffice for that. So it'll be the 2nd of September. Is there anything that we would like to formalize at this point with the first Wednesday meetings? Anything that pops into anybody's mind here on the assembled group about what they'd like to do? Peter?
Just wondering if maybe I'm not saying this for next meeting, but going forward, maybe we can conduct workshops. For example, like using LT Spice or KeyCAD, filter programs, etc. Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, I bet there's a lot of people that would be very interested in that. Just the basics, right? And wouldn't necessarily have to be very long either, right? Like 20 minutes or something like that. It'd probably suffice per meeting. Talk on one particular subject and go for it. Now, obviously, we'd have to be a little bit in advance because whoever's talking about it is going to need some time. But a subject matter expert, I guess, or at least someone who's familiar with it, would be the optimal place to start. So.
Yeah, and if you had advanced notice to it, then that would give people time to, for example, you're going to just do something very easily with KiCad, for example. That would give time everybody to download it or whatever, possibly.
Yeah, actually, like a follow along, that would be actually a good idea. I'm wondering if maybe setting up like a spreadsheet, like a shared spreadsheet that we could just populate with, who wants to present on what topic for the rest of the year or something like that. Makes sense.
And we did a few of the workshops, if you will, here Kingston with GNU Radio, and they worked out very well. So the Jitsi format was perfect for it, really.
Were any of those recorded?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Okay, Klaus, you had your hand up a moment ago.
Yeah, I just think we can get some jackets made, try and get some girls.
Yeah. Well, what did I see the other day going down the road? The Sikh biker club or something like that of Brampton or what have you. Everybody decked out in a different colored turban and looking pretty impressive with their shades and big hogs. So that was kind of interesting. Maybe we should do something the same. Club jackets, club colors. Somebody had their hand up a moment ago. Whoever it is, please go ahead.
I did. It's Brian here. I just did a quick check. There is an 817 groups IO thing, and right now it's an open group in the sense you can see the messages and search them. So you probably could wade through that a little bit without even joining up, just to see if there's any pertinent data that sort of pops up.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, appreciate that. Thanks, Brian, for the tip. So. All right. All right. That looks like it might be a wrap. We're just over our hour of recording here, I guess, hour and 10 minutes. So thank you very much for everybody attending tonight. And unless there is anything else, hope to maybe see some of you at the QSO today, starting on Saturday the 8th, I believe it is. And maybe see your avatar, whatever that may be. Looking forward to it. I guess that'll be before our next meeting, which is the 19th. Wednesday the 19th will be the third Wednesday. So, Peter. Oh, you're still muted, Peter.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I sent to you and Al the schematic for that digital interface. So it should be in your inbox shortly.
Okay. And you think I could harvest some information out of that for my cable project?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Did that interface, like, I mean, because like every radio has a different, there's no standard, is there, for what it's going into, whether it's a mic jack being, a circular or modular or 6-pinned in, 5-pinned in, 8-pinned in? Like, how did you handle that in that project, just quickly?
What we did was, let me see, I'm looking at the plug here, 1, 2, 3, 4. It was a 4-pin DIN connector. And here we go. So nothing is standard. You pretty well have to work it out for yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
On my MicroBitX, it's simplicity itself. There's a mic in, there's a push to talk, and there's earphones out. And that's basically all you need. You just have to figure out how to connect everything else to them.
Right.
There's the other end of my digital interface cable for that I had to wire up for the Kenwood, and because it was an older rig, you know, this one went into the phone jack went into the phones, and then the other end went into the mic. So I kind of had to cut into the cable to do that. But you know, you just got to jury rig your own to suit whatever rig you're going to put it into, right?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. That's part of it. I guess you have a cable for every rig that you want to control, probably, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I might add that the two designs that I posted, both are based on a USB sound card being plugged into your computer. So so I just ordered another one today from Amazon for $9.89. You just stick it in a USB port, and it has mic in and sound out. And the two designs that I posted, you take the sound card apart, and you take the plus 5 volts from one part of the USB interface and the ground from the other part of the interface, and work them into your circuit. So that avoids having some sort of adapter for a DB9 interface.
Yeah, and the other thing too, the schematic that I sent out there, it's not marked on it, but the two isolation transformers, I think they're 600 ohm, if I recall.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so other than that, I think everything else is pretty well explanatory, or everything's labeled. Yeah, so you should be able to just do, like Frank said, just use the top part and ignore the circuitry for the push to talk.
If you do a Google search for FT817 digital interface, there's several entries for it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I'm trying to get this done just sort of in the quickest time possible. And again, just the cable that I'm after at this point. So I'll see if it works. If it does, great. If not, it's a project for another day when I'm. But this is kind of like a time sensitive project. They're, I think, going until Saturday, and then their station shuts down. So anyway, that's a learning experience. So I'll hopefully share a success story when we meet up again. So.
Kevin had his hand up.
Yeah, just one thing, Eric. If you want to do it really easy, put your 817 on Vox and just use your computer speakers. Just be in a really quiet room and don't speak. And you can do digital that way. I have tried it and it does work. So if you want simple, that's as simple as it comes.
And like FL Digi and SJTX work in that.
As far as I know, if you have to set the levels right and stuff, and you have to be in a quiet room.
Yeah.
But yeah, just turn the rig on Vox, so when the computer starts transmitting, it'll pick it up, and then the speaker on your rig obviously has to be set right. But
right.
You don't need any push to talk, and the sound interface is over the air. Literally.
Actually, that's an even better idea. Yeah. Okay.
It's
that's
very, very simple.
Simple and yeah.
Just make sure that your dog doesn't come in and start barking or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I mean, these things are resilient, aren't they? Or don't they have forward error correction and all that now?
They do to some extent, yeah. But anyway, if you just want to try it, that's a simple way to try it.
Yeah. Right. Interesting. Yeah, that more experimentation. See if it has a woof filter on it. Woofing filter.
A woofing filter, yes.
Woof. Speaking of mutts, I've got no shortage of them around. You probably see them there. So. He just stole my salmon skin that was sitting on my plate here, unbeknownst to me. He's a crafty guy. So. Anyway, all right. Well, thanks for the input. That was great, actually. We will see you all in about 3 weeks. 4 weeks time, right? 3 weeks. The 19th. All right. Be well, okay. And 7-3 all.
Ciao.
7-3, guys.
Have a good one.
Yeah, 2.